Just hours after Henry Cejudo lost to Aljamain Sterling in the UFC 288 main event, he has gone on to call out Merab Dvalishvili, and I think this fight is perfect, and I think it makes all of the sense in the world, because Merab Dvalishvili has got to fight someone next. He's not going to fight Aljamain Sterling, which is kind of its own little issue there, because he is like the undisputed #1 contender at this point, and he kind of does have to fight someone, but the problem is he can't really just kind of kill off all of the prospects that are coming up to fight Aljamain, so I think Henry Cejudo would be the absolute perfect matchup, but because I believe the rumour is after Aljamain Sterling beats Sean O'Malley, he's going to vacate the belt and then move up to 145, and then Merab can fight for the title. And I think that's cool. I'm pretty happy for that to happen. Maybe Aljamain wants to keep defending the belt at 135 and build up on his legacy. But the thing is, Merab still has to fight someone, right? Merab's got to pay the bills himself. And I think the fight against Henry Cejudo makes all of the sense in the world. And on top of that, Henry Cejudo has called up Merab for UFC 292 in Boston. Well, Boston is the rumoured location of UFC 292, which will be in August. It has kind of been confirmed to be in August, and it's kind of been confirmed to be in Boston as well. And Cejudo wants to fight, so he wants to fight soon. That's only about 3 months away. You got to respect the activity. He's come back out of retirement. He's not wanting to mess around. And I feel like he probably wants to kind of win the bout again. You know what I mean? Or get another opportunity. Because if Henry Cejudo beats Merab, I don't think anyone would really complain about Henry Cejudo getting another shot at the title, potentially a shot at Aljamain Sterling, potentially a shot at someone else if Aljamain Sterling does vacate the belt, if he does defeat Sean O'Malley, which is what I do think will happen. But I will go on record and I will say this, in a 3-round fight, I think Cejudo might win. In a 5-round fight, I think it would be Merab all day. I think Merab Dvalishvili beats anybody in the division in a 5-round fight at the moment, unless someone up and coming comes up out of nowhere and really kind of shows that they might have the style to defeat Merab. But in a 5-round fight, I think he beats everyone. I think Merab beats everyone in the division in a 5-round fight, but in a 3-round fight, I think Merab probably does have a couple of matchups that could be quite difficult for him, but I do believe that Merab would beat Henry in a 5-round fight. So if I'm Henry Cejudo, I'm going to try and make this a 3-round fight as much as I possibly can. And you might think, that's a weird take. That's a hot take. And I don't know how hot of a take it really is. But Merab has looked kind of like unbeatable. But the reason why I do believe Henry Cejudo would be able to defeat Merab in a 3-round fight, the key is 3 rounds. And I'll talk about a 5-round scenario later. It's because Merab Dvalishvili, he's kind of well known for shooting for takedowns, but not getting them. But then if he does get takedowns, he can't hold his opponents down. And Henry Cejudo showed incredible takedown defense against Aljamain Sterling. With time off, he's obviously got the gold medal in wrestling. He's got fantastic takedown defense. He's probably got better takedown defense than anyone Merab has faced before, maybe aside from Jose Aldo. But Jose Aldo was able to defend, I believe, every single takedown from Merab Dvalishvili in that matchup. And on top of that, Henry Cejudo, if he wants to, and this is what I think he should do, he can offensively wrestle against Merab Dvalishvili, because Merab, you don't really see too many people taking him down. And I feel like that's how you would stop Merab from kind of implementing his game plan. The reason why Merab is so successful is because he's got such great cardio and he's able to keep a good pace on offense. But I feel like if you pressure Merab yourself and you take Merab down yourself, Merab can't be shooting for a takedown every 30 seconds. He can't be shooting for a takedown every 15 seconds. He can't be throwing the volume that he does. He can't take you down and then you get up and then take you down again, because he's on his back, because you're on top of Merab. And I feel like Henry Cejudo would be the kind of guy that could game plan and could potentially pull it off against someone like Merab Dvalishvili in a 3-rounder. In a 5-rounder, though, I don't think Henry Cejudo could keep up with the pace. I think Merab would put the pace on him early, and we've seen how good Merab's takedowns and his especially his pace, especially his cardio, was against Petr Yan in a 5-round fight, because Petr Yan really slows guys down. Like when he fought Aljamain Sterling himself, especially in the second fight, Aljamain Sterling did slow down a lot towards the end, but that's because Petr Yan is a very high pressure fighter and he makes his opponents work. And he tried to do that with Merab, but Merab's cardio was just too good. Merab's cardio was too good over 5 rounds, and I think Merab's cardio would be too good against Henry Cejudo over 5 rounds. I think what would happen is Merab would push the pace in the first 5 rounds. Henry Cejudo would maybe try and start slow like he did against Aljamain Sterling. And I think eventually Cejudo would gas from defending all of the takedowns and then just get boxed up towards the end. But in a 3-rounder, that's completely different because Henry Cejudo only has to put up a high pace for 3 rounds. And Henry Cejudo, especially coming off a 3-year layoff, his cardio looked pretty good against Aljamain Sterling. He went 5 rounds. He won the 5th round. On my scorecard anyway, but that's another story. He won the 5th round, in my opinion, against Aljamain Sterling. He looked the best in the 5th round, in my opinion, as well. And I do believe Henry Cejudo would beat Merab in a 3-rounder. I think Henry Cejudo has the best chance out of any other fighter in the bantamweight division right now to defeat Merab Dvalishvili in a 3-rounder. Over 5 rounds, it's a different story, man. Maybe Aljamain Sterling himself has the best style to beat Merab over 5 rounds. But I feel like maybe Umar Nurmagomedov could pose some problems in 3 rounds. We haven't seen Umar tested against this level of competition, but we have seen Cejudo go 5 rounds with Aljamain Sterling, go a competitive 5 rounds against Aljamain Sterling as well. I like the matchup. I think this matchup is absolutely perfect. If you're not going to do Henry Cejudo versus Merab, there is kind of talk from the media, kind of talk from myself as well. I don't really mind Cejudo moving up to 145 pounds and facing Max Holloway because of Max Holloway's situation. Max Holloway truly has nobody else to fight at 145 that he hasn't fought already. He just beat Arnold Allen. There's talks about him fighting the the Korean Zombie. And I don't know if I really want to see Holloway versus TKZ. You know what I mean? And if Henry Cejudo beats Max Holloway, you could make a very fair argument that we just give Cejudo the title shot at 145 because that's what he wanted. Henry Cejudo wanted the title shot at featherweight. So I like this move from Cejudo because I do believe if he does beat Merab, I think he could either rematch Aljamain Sterling or if Sterling does vacate the belt, if he beats Sean O'Malley, which to be fair, if Cejudo beat Merab and then Sterling beat O'Malley, I think Aljamain Sterling would stay at 135 to try and defeat Cejudo for a second time. But let's just say Aljamain Sterling does vacate the belt like he's kind of been planning to give Merab the title shot. I think if Cejudo does beat Merab, then he could just fight maybe Sandhagen for the vacant title or something like that. But I don't mind this. I think this is a good idea. I think this is probably one of the most logical moves to happen. You know, aside from Cejudo wanting to go back up to 145, like he planned originally, I think this is the best matchup that makes the most sense at 135 because Cejudo, he's got to fight someone, you know what I mean? He doesn't want to be one and done. He still wants to fight a couple more times at least. And Merab makes the most sense because Merab is the guy that still needs to fight. Merab still needs to fight, but you don't want Merab just taking out the top contenders, you know what I mean? You don't want Merab to beat Song Yadong. You don't want Merab to beat Corey Sandhagen. You don't want Merab to beat maybe even Umar Nurmagomedov because these guys are up and coming and they're probably threats to Sterling. But Merab, you know, because of his current place in the division, he kind of just does defeat the contenders. And then Aljamain Sterling defeats the guys that Merab doesn't fight. So, yeah, I don't mind this matchup. I think this matchup makes a lot of sense. Let me know what you think in the comments, though. Do you want to see Cejudo versus Merab? Who would you pick in the matchup? As I said before, if it is a 3-round fight, I genuinely would pick Henry Cejudo. But in a 5-round fight, I would pick Merab. That's just my opinion. I think Cejudo, with his fight IQ, with his wrestling, with his game plan, the way that Merab fights as well, he's very good at getting takedowns, but sometimes he gets a lot of takedowns defended, but even when he does get the takedowns, his opponents usually just can stand up very, very easily. You know what I mean? They can get back up pretty easily, and that's kind of what Merab does. He makes you work, he makes you get up, and that's what makes you tired. But I feel like someone like Cejudo, he would be able to defend the initial takedown, you know what I mean, and then work for his own takedown and get his own takedown and end up on top. And we don't really know what Merab looks like when he's on his back. And I feel like Cejudo would put Merab on his back, and it would be an interesting fight. I think Cejudo would beat him in a 3-round fight. In a 5-round fight, I think it's a completely different story. I think Merab would dominate a 5-rounder. If I'm Cejudo and I want this fight, try your best to negotiate it for 3 rounds, because I think Merab and his team will probably try and make it like a 5-round co-main event or something because it is Henry Cejudo. But Cejudo, I think he does beat a 3-rounder. I think he wins a 3-round fight. I don't think I'm even being like that delusional about that. I genuinely do think that Cejudo would beat Merab in a 3-rounder. So let me know what you think in the comments. I'm very interested. But Yeah, I mean, I'm at 9 minutes 54. We might just want to make it go over 10. I don't even know if YouTube still does that, with the ads or whatever. But sorry, guys. Listen, I'm a university student. I've got no income right now. I need money. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you made it this far, please do like the video. Please do subscribe to my channel. We're on the up right now. You know, I've actually I'm gaining subscribers now finally after having about a month of just been flat. So I really would appreciate that. Thank you guys. I'll see you in the next one.